Hello, budding hackers. Welcome to the hands-on ethical hacking course. So, in the previous section, we covered how to break wireless networks by using the airgaiden script. If you remember, we had a terminal, and if I go into the airgaiden directory, so we use the airgaiden script here. If I can ls, yeah, there it is. So we use the airgaiden script here to hack Wi-Fi networks and crack the Wi-Fi password. It says root permission to launch, whatever. I'll just exit out of it. So if you remember the last course, we had the crack.txt, we had the Wi-Fi password that we had cracked. So now we know how to crack WPA and WPA2 Wi-Fi networks. So now we have learned how we can crack them. Let's learn how to secure them, because it's pretty easy to secure them and it's just a couple of steps. As we talked in the previous course before, every device on the network has an IP address, and so does your Wi-Fi router. If you ever want to check what IP address your Wi-Fi router has, you can always go back on the behind of it. It always has a sticker which identifies its IP address. If not, well, in most cases, the IP address is just a combination of 192.168.0.1 or 1.1 or something along those lines. So let me just write it out for you here. If I open the notepad here, yes, okay. So whenever usually working with Wi-Fi routers, they mostly have the IP address of 192.168.0.1 or 192.168.1.1 or the same shit 192.168.0.1 or 1.0, anything. It's most commonly found like this. If you're not sure what the IP address of your router is, you can always go to Google and search for the default IP address of my router. If you can Google that, and as you can see, it will always tell you it's mostly 0.1, 1.1 or something else. So, but in a corporate environment, these can be changed, but mostly in home networks and small networks, it will always be something like this 0.1, 1.1 or something like that. So what do these IP addresses represent? Well, the router, as being your Wi-Fi router, in conjunction, it also hosts a web server. Now, it seems pretty silly. Why would a Wi-Fi router host a web server? Well, it hosts the web server to allow for configuration and management of the Wi-Fi router settings. Believe it or not, your Wi-Fi router also has an inbuilt settings menu inside it. In fact, most routers work on Linux. So how do you change those Wi-Fi router settings? How do you change your Wi-Fi's password? In today's day and age, most Wi-Fi routers also have an app accompanying them, so you can use that. But since we want to do some advanced level changes, we will be using the web server address that they provide. So as I told before, most routers have an IP address. So you can always connect to the Wi-Fi network. As you can see, I'm connected to my home network here, which is IP little. We are using the Wi-Fi adapter as we talked in the previous course. So I'll just open the administration panel of my Wi-Fi router, which is hosted on the web page. And the IP address, as discussed before, is mostly 0.1 or 1.1, 192. So let's go to that. I'll type 192.168.0.1. And if I press enter, as you can see, it opens up the TP-Link page. And now I can log into it and put the password here and maybe log into it and see what's inside the router. So mostly these passwords are set as admin or something else, but you can obviously change them. So as you can see, it's not admin here. If I type admin, it's obviously not admin. So let me just grab my Wi-Fi password for once and let's see what the Wi-Fi password for it is. In case you're not sure what the Wi-Fi password of the router is, most Wi-Fi routers come with the password combination of admin or admin blank or administrator. But newer routers have this pre-configured password that is always written on the back of the Wi-Fi router. So if you pick up your Wi-Fi router, you can always see a sticker on its back which has the default password on it. Every time you reset the router, it always resets to that default password. In today's day and age, most of them come with a complicated password, but sometimes it can also be on some older routers. It is mostly set as 192.168 or something like that, or basically admin, something like that. So yeah, it can be those two. So let's try the password. I have found my password here. Let's see if it works. So yeah, as you can see, I have logged into my Wi-Fi router. So as you can see, this is the Wi-Fi router settings, and it may look something like this, but remember, every Wi-Fi router has a different management page. So as you can see, mine is from TP-Link. Every Wi-Fi router has a different page, Wi-Fi router settings, all right? So make sure that you can always check which one yours is, but most of them are hosted on the same IP. So as you can see, I'm in my Wi-Fi router settings and I can manage the wired clients here and the wireless clients here, etc. Newer routers have these cleaner looking features, but talking about the options, all of them have the same options. It's just how they're represented. So in the internet menu, the wireless menu, etc., these could be different. So I'll just switch over to the advanced tab. So remember, we captured the Wi-Fi handshake because of someone brute forcing our network. So the only way you can stop someone from brute forcing is to have an access control list. So what is an access control list? Well, let me scroll down and let me show you what I mean by the access control list. So I can go to the wireless and the wireless settings, and let's see, it's not there. So you usually have to look around. Also, some routers have a guest network security. So in case you have multiple guests, instead of sharing your password with them, you can obviously create a guest network that only they can connect to. And as you can see, you can allow or disallow access to their local network. So even if someone is in your guest network, they can't actually see what devices you are using on your Wi-Fi network. So I'll go into the security, and yes, this is what I was talking about. I was talking about the access control. So as you can see, I have turned off access control for right now, but you can always enable it if you're in an office or a corporate environment, or even if you're in a home and you're sure of who needs to use the Wi-Fi network. For example, the access mode list has two options, a black list and a white list. So what I can do is, as you can see, if I refresh the list here, so these are all the devices that are connected to my Wi-Fi network. As you can see, this is my phone, this is some device else, I don't know, this is Kali, this desktop system we are using, then there are some, this is my other laptop, Windows laptop. So as you can see, there are multiple options here to, check who is connected to your Wi-Fi. So if you're unsure of if maybe you feel like your Wi-Fi speed is getting slow, you can always come here and check if any device extra is here. So after you have confirmed, as you can see, every device has a new IP the router has assigned them by using the function of DHCP, as we talked in the previous course. And also, all of them have a unique MAC address. So you can check the MAC address on each of your home devices and cross-check it with here. And if you feel like some device is extra, you can always, block it from here. If you click on this, you can always disable them. So as you can see, now I added this device to the blacklist. So now if I turn on access control, this device won't be allowed to connect to my Wi-Fi network, even if it has the right password. So by this way, by only allowing the specific devices in your list, you can block all other devices from connecting to your Wi-Fi network. So in this blacklist option, I can always blacklist this device, or if I remove it from here, so it comes back right up here. So what I can do is I can create a whitelist. And now after I've created a whitelist, I can add those devices to the whitelist, and all of these will be allowed to connect, and no other device will be allowed to connect to the Wi-Fi network. So basically, by these means, I am disallowing anyone, even if they have the correct password, to connect to my Wi-Fi network. In that case, they will have to clone the MAC address, and that is a pretty difficult thing to do. It's not impossible, but it's a difficult thing to do. The other thing that you should always remember is that, remember how we crack the Wi-Fi password? So cracking a Wi-Fi password is mostly done by brute forcing and dictionary attack these days. And attackers' Wi-Fi cracking abilities are always dependent by the amount of good passwords they have in their brute force, right? So basically what I mean by that is, don't have obvious passwords in your Wi-Fi network. So as you can see, my password is, obviously you can't see it, and but my password is a combination of numbers and letters. So let's jump from that, and always remember to turn off WPS. It is also a very exploitable feature. So what WPS allows is to connect via devices that cannot exactly type the password in. For example, a printer. To put a printer on my Wi-Fi network, it has a WPS option. So I would have to enable that. But always remember to turn off WPS after you have connected the WPS needed devices. Most devices these days are skipping WPS, and in fact, Wi-Fi routers are also disabling it by default. That is why we did not cover cracking it. But cracking WPS is a pretty easy task. It's only a 8-digit pin, but it is also bounded by the fact that the router does not accept does not accept the handshakes unless it asks for them. So we can't force handshakes onto them. We remember we could perform the deauthentication attack in the WPA2 network. We can't exactly perform a deauthentication attack on the WPS. And since we can't do that, we can't capture the handshake. And if you can't capture the handshake, you can't crack the 8-digit pin, even if you have it correct. You first need to make the router send the handshakes. So the only way to practically crack and reliably crack Wi-Fi networks in today's days and age is by brute forcing the password. So always remember to have a good, long, complicated password here. So after that, now you have set a good, long and complicated password. The next thing that you need to do is you need to change the default IP address of the router. So as you can see, I logged in into my router with some specific password. I changed it purposefully after I had the device. After you connect and configure everything, make sure to change that password and write it somewhere, because if you forget it, you will have to reset your Wi-Fi device. So you can always come into your device settings, the wireless settings, or any of those settings, and some of them should have the Wi-Fi router address, and you should change it. So let's see where it is. It's maybe in the IP and Mac. I don't know where it is. It's maybe in the system tools, right? So in the system tools and administration section, as you can see, you can change put the old password and then put the new password here. By this, you can change the router's pages, the router's page Wi-Fi password, the login password, right? And always remember to update. If your Wi-Fi router has an update, always remember to put it into update, because some routers may have an exploit that can, open ports or open something else that may be publicly exploitable, and someone can look at that and exploit your router. So always be sure to update your routers on time, have a difficult to guess WPA2 password, and disable WPS. And in case you're worried about WPA and WPP and WPA2 connections, so most routers, if you go into their wireless settings, will only give you the section to have WPA2. So as you can see, I have the option of WPA2 and WPA3 because this is a newer router. I also have WPA and WPA2 enterprise, but I don't have any security lower than that. So in most routers these days, the security minimum is WPA2, which can only be cracked with a basic brute force dictionary attack. So after you have configured your Wi-Fi routers, you're pretty much safe. In case you realize that your Wi-Fi attack is, in case your Wi-Fi is under attack and you are getting constant deauthentication attacks and you can't use a Wi-Fi network, you can always take a LAN cable. It comes in the box of the Wi-Fi router, and attach it hardline your computer to your Wi-Fi router, and then you can change the settings. Because when someone is launching a deauthentication attack, they are only launching it in the wireless medium. So you can always connect the LAN cable to the back of your router and use that to change these settings. So after you have done all these settings, remember to log out of your Wi-Fi router panel page. So as you can see, we have logged out of the Wi-Fi router page. So these were some key basic steps that you needed to know to secure your Wi-Fi network. Let's see you in the next part, in which we discuss some post connection attacks. So remember, we hacked the Wi-Fi network last time. Now what can we do after we have hacked the Wi-Fi? Remember, in the first presentation that we talked about the hacking methodology, we first had the scanning, then we had the recon. So now we have broken into the network, and now we'll perform that mantra, those 5 steps again. We'll scan all the devices in these Wi-Fi network. For example, if you had hacked into a corporate environment, the first thing that you'll do is you'll scan all the devices in that network. So basically, we'll use tools like NetDiscover and Nmap to scan everything around us, and we'll look at further what we can do with that, how we can scan and how to make a record of it in the next section. So yeah, see you in the next section, in which we'll be discussing post-connection attacks.